You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Watch us live on Smart TV, YouTube, WCEG Network. I am Celeste Giordano, your show host, along with a special co-host tonight, Lisa Parks. And we're the Global Legacy and Wealth Building, and we're the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group, where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. And last but not least, our disclaimer, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support, and thank you, Penny Rogers and the WCEG family, for this opportunity to bring this show to our live audience today. And I'm very excited to have with me today Lisa Parks. Lisa is going to be co-hosting the show with me today. And we also have a very special guest, Steventhen Holland, and he is our show guest host today. And I want to tell you a little bit about Steven, but before I do, Lisa, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your company for being my co-host today, please.
Thank you, Celeste, for including me today, and welcome, Steventhen. My name is Lisa Parks, and I have a company, ImageCom Group, and I do search, social, content, and local for primarily medical and health practices and nonprofits, including a disability link organization.
Absolutely, and we're just glad to have you as a co-host here today, Lisa. And I'd like to talk a little bit about Steventhen Holland and tell you a little bit about him. Lisa, you and I had the privilege and honor to be at a fundraiser last Tuesday night. Matter of fact, it was a week ago tonight in Flowery Branch for Camp Amplify. And Steventhen Holland was the guest speaker that night. And Steventhen Holland is an author, recording artist, passionate worship leader, motivational communicator, national pro-life speaker, and founder of Broken Not Dead Ministries, a nonprofit 501c3. Steventhen's unrelenting passion to see brokenness transform to wholeness was the foundation that launched Broken Not Dead Ministries. BND Ministries' mission is to bring hope and restoration to the broken through creating inspirational content, music, books, videos, hosting events, and creating a platform where all can hear and share their own broken, not dead story. With an effort to bring hope and restoration to even more broken people, we are consistently looking to develop strategies and partners with other like-minded organizations to better carry out our mission. BND desires to educate, empower, and encourage the broken in our community. Good afternoon, Steventhen. We are so excited to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Celeste and Lisa. It's good to be on with you guys.
Well, absolutely. We're very honored and privileged to have you with us today. And family is doing well, I take it?
Yeah, my wife of almost 15 years now, and our three beautiful daughters. They're actually they're in a play for Little Mermaid at a Christian school here in a couple of weeks. So they've been rehearsing 3 or 4 days a week. So that's where they are.
That is fantastic. Yeah. It's just amazing how God aligns people in your life, Steventhen. And my husband and I, along with Lisa and her husband, Jason, had the opportunity to be a part of Camp Amplify. We had a table there. My co-host, Sara and I, we are the founders of the Women of Community Impact. And we went there to the fundraiser to see how our 501c3 could support Camp Amplify this summer with the children. Mm-hmm. And so we brought some key people from our 501c3, such as Lisa and her husband. And we were just really, I want to say we were so impressed, but it wasn't impressed in a wow way, other than it was a wow way that it impressed upon our heart the mm-hmm. love that Camp Amplify has in helping these children, go to summer camp, attend summer camp, and the story where they were 4 or 5 years ago. And then we got to hear you give your testimonial and story. And there wasn't a dry eye in the room, was there, Lisa?
No, ma'am.
And so, what I would like to do is, Lisa, what was your take when you first heard Steventhen speak last Tuesday? What was your aha moment for his talk?
Well, of course, I think what really rounded the whole story out was that beautiful video with your mother, and not giving anything away since we'll talk about your story. But the fact that despite life's challenges, God continued, and you were faithful. He continued to work his plan, and for whatever reason, over the course of your life, you continued to listen. And it was just a beautiful opportunity to see that all come together.
Absolutely. And, you touched upon every heart there. And I know you touched upon Lisa and her husband, Jason. You touched upon me and my husband, Mike. You touched upon our hearts. And I would just love for you to tell us who you are and what you do.
Right. Well, I'm a child of the King first and foremost. I'm so thankful for my relationship with Christ. And that's really the foundation and I say that, because that's really the foundation of my life. Lord, use me. I want to be obedient, even when I'm the only one that sees these crazy, dreams that you put in my head. I don't know if you've been there, just a ministry he's called you to, and it's like, why don't you see what I see? The goodness of God. But again, Celeste, you did a great job sharing who I am. But I was a youth pastor for 12 years. That's what I went to school to be. I graduated from King College, which is King University now in Bristol, Tennessee, back in 2005. So I was a youth pastor for about 12 years. So I've been in ministry full time for most of my adult life. But about 2013, my dad had been battling Alzheimer's. And the Lord said, you know what, your ministry is to go love on him. So I packed up my wife and our 3 daughters. Our youngest was 3 months old at the time. And we moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, back to my hometown. And actually Whitwell is where I grew up, outside of Chattanooga. And we loved on him. And in that season, God just, gave me an opportunity to start sharing my story, which led to, okay, well, what do I do? The church ministry stuff, I don't feel called to go back on full-time staff. And I just started sharing my testimony, which I'll get an opportunity to share, I'm sure, tonight, but started sharing that. And I wrote a book in 2015, which goes deeper into my testimony and my story. And I started working for a pregnancy center for about 3.5 years. And God started, revealing himself even more. Like, you have not only in your testimony, your story, but your story has a bigger platform than just inside the church. And with my book coming out and working for the pregnancy center, God started opening some doors. So that's what led me to, in 2018, I started speaking nationally as a pro-life advocate. I'm represented by Ambassador Speakers Bureau. They're the largest Christian speaking agency in the country, based out of Franklin, Tennessee. And so I'm booked for about 15, I think, so far this year, pregnancy center fundraisers, starting to do a lot of advocacy and speaking for foster care and adoption. So yeah. And then, of course, I'm a worship leader, and I lead worship a lot. I just actually did 5 services this past weekend for a student ministry, Discipleship Now, here in Alabama, where I live in Muscle Shoals. So yeah. So the biggest things for me is worship leading, music, singer, songwriter. I've released 18 songs, recorded and released 18 songs so far. So I use my music and my testimony, my story, just to share the goodness of God and try to bring hope to people.
Well, you do a great job. And, I didn't give any links or anything, Steventhen, but what I'd love for you to do is give the name of your company and some links for our listeners, because as we're doing the show here, they may want to Google that or pull on that website for any questions, if you would, please.
Yes, ma'am. And I have dropped some of those in the comment section. So I'd love, anybody listening or on the playback, you can look in the comment section. But so again, leading to that, in 2018, the Lord led me to start Broken Not Dead Ministries. I had somebody come to me and say, man, I want to bless you instead of financial support, I'm actually going to pay to help you establish your nonprofit. So in 2018, we launched Broken Not Dead Ministries. And again, just to kind of reiterate, the mission there is to bring hope and restoration to broken people. That's really the foundation. But the way we do that is creating inspirational content and hosting events. So we create music. We just recently launched a platform called Broken Not Dead Stories, which is, if you've ever seen I Am Second, that would be maybe a good example of what that is. But our first season, we filmed 10 people sharing their broken, not dead stories. And Wow. It's just a virtual option. When with COVID, the events kind of got shut down, the in-person, we just can't do those as much. So we kind of pivoted, how can we get hope and restoration out there, a message of hope. So we filmed these stories and we're releasing them on our YouTube platform at Broken Not Dead Ministries. So again, in the link, I'll link brokennotdead.com, which is the best place to go to check out the nonprofit. And then for myself, as a speaker and worship leader, author, it's steventhen.com. I'm the only Steventhen in the world. So if you don't get the website, if you Google me, I'm easy to find. So somebody said, Celeste and Lisa recently, like, do you realize how awesome it is that you own your first name as your website? And I'm thinking, yeah, but nobody else really wants it. Steven, then what, So yeah.
Well, I know people are probably dying to know how someone gets the name Steventhen. So how did you get your name?
Well, I'm 39 years old and we don't have enough time to share 39 years of life, but my birth mom actually gave me that name, Celeste. So just the shortest version I can probably share tonight is 8 years old. I had some, friends at school said that you're weird and different. And what they were referring to is I was a different color than the rest of my family. So at 8 years old, I find that out. And of course that started a journey. I found out at 8 years old that I was actually adopted. Well, actually I was in foster care and adopted at age 2. I was biracial in a white home. The state of Tennessee tried to remove me from the home when I was 6 months old, and my family literally fought for me to keep me in the family, to keep me in their home. And there's a whole story there, which we won't go into tonight unless you all want to. But so that started a journey. I mean, I had questions about why would a mother not want her son? I'm frustrated. Why do I have to be the wrong color? All those things. As an 8-year-old, that's a big pill to swallow. But I knew I was loved. It was never a question of that. So I had 8 pages of typewriter paperwork. So I had this broken information. That's all I knew. But what I took that information. I'm going to fast forward. I'm 27 years old. I'm married. My wife and I had gone through 2 miscarriages, talk about brokenness, right? This theme. God used that brokenness in my life. I was a father, we had 1 successful pregnancy in between 2 miscarriages, but I was struggling with, I don't know medical history. I don't know race, ethnicity. Are we losing these babies because of me, because of my past? And God used that season of my life. My wife was pregnant for the 4th time, and I was feeling all that anxiety, depression. And he led me to that 8 pages of typewriter paperwork. And I pulled it out. 3 days, God said it was time. That's all I can. People ask me all the time, how did you know, when was the right timing? And I said, God just said, in my heart and my spirit, it was time to look for my birth mom. So I spent 3 days with those 8 pages of typewriter paperwork, and I tracked my birth uncle down, who's a magician and ventriloquist from Spartanburg, South Carolina. And in his website, I was able to piece some information together. And I met with him. And then Lisa, you mentioned the video of meeting my mom. I get to meet my birth uncle at 27. He tells me, that my mom she had actually been raped by 5 men. She was mentally challenged, only 18 years old. She carried me homeless. I mean, she's my hero, Mama Glenda. Her name is Glenda Sue Holt. And so I'm finding all this out at 27 years old through my uncle. And so we, from that encounter, I spent 2 days with him. And after we kind of had a chance to meet and I found out how I came into the world and what had happened, he looked at me and said, "Your mom's alive. She's 5 hours south of where we sit today." And he said, "Do you want to meet her?" And I said, "It's time. It's time." That's what the Spirit of God told me. And it took 27 years for his timing to be perfect. I don't think I would have been ready to meet her before then. I think, I look back and God's timing is so perfect. So we jump in a car, drive 5 hours south, and I get to meet my birth mom for the first time at 27. And I'll be honest with you, one of the first things that I asked her after we met, and before I say this, there's a video Lisa referenced. You can watch that on YouTube. I just decided a few years ago to make it public and just let people be blessed by it. So I'll try to make sure to link that in the comment section so you can watch that if anybody's interested. But it's about a 4-minute clip of make sure you have tissues. I want to say that because if you're crying over it, it's not, I warned you, have some tissues. But that was one of the first things, Celeste. I know I took a long way to get here, but I had to set it up because I looked at my mom after we had our introduction and we met each other. And I asked her, I said, "Mom, did you name me Steventhen?" And when she said it, she said, "I named you Steventhen William." So this is a 46-year-old woman that I'm standing in front of, at 27 when I met her, but she's still mentally, she's only an 11-year-old child mentally. So to her, she named her son Stephen, then William. It's all one word, right? To her mental intellect, So where the name came from was my uncle who I had just met, Stephen, I was named after him, and then William is my grandfather, their dad. So she wanted me to have both names. So whoever recorded it that day at Erlanger Hospital in Chattanooga, Tennessee, wrote it exactly the way they heard it. Stephen then was the first name, William, and I came into the world a Holt, but now my last name is Holland, my adopted family. There you go.
Love that story.
Wow, I love it. What that is awesome. So, do you still have a relationship with your birth mom now, Steventhen?
Oh man, that's a hard one. My birth mom, actually, I call her my hero, Mama Glenda. She actually passed away on Thanksgiving night of 2020, this last year. So it's so she's home. She's complete. She's restored. I don't, please hear my heart. I don't wish her back. She was a ward of the state of Georgia her entire adult life. She was in and out of state mental hospitals and facilities. And man, can you imagine what she's experiencing now? Because she had a relationship with Christ. She loved Jesus, even though she was only 11-year-old mentally. But sadly, she's no longer with us. But she had an opportunity before she passed to meet all 3 of her granddaughters. My children, Isabella, Eliana, and Cadence, all called her Gigi, Grandma Glenda. And I think I shared this that night, but if I have a moment, I'd like to just share just something special to me that one of the last times that my kids got to see Mama Glenda, Gigi, she had soiled herself. She was confined mostly to a wheelchair, and the nurses had to clean her up while we were there. So we were standing out in the hallway, and after they cleaned her up, they came out and we're standing there, and they looked at Mama Glenda and they said, "Glenda, you have some beautiful granddaughters." I'm going to try to say this without crying, but I looked at those nurses, which is a thankless job a lot of times, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's understaffed and overpopulated, and sometimes they don't feel like their work matters. And that's a part of Broken Not Dead. I mean, Broken Not Dead Ministries happened right there in that hallway as far as I'm concerned. I said, "Listen, ladies, I just want to thank you and say that I love you and I appreciate you for loving on my hero. If she hadn't chosen life and fought for this man that's standing in front of you, those 3 little beautiful girls that you just talked about wouldn't be here." So again, long answer to say, yes, I have a relationship with her, but right now it's distant because I won't see her again until I'm in glory. But that's the hope that I have, that I will see her again soon.
Now, what was that like, Steventhen, meeting her for the first time?
Oh man.
I mean, I'm sure you remember that feeling of what it was like.
Oh yeah. I was nervous. because, even my Uncle Steve was saying that, we had a 5-hour drive down there, and he was like, man, I don't know how she's going to react. She's an 11-year-old child in her head. So will she have anxiety? The best way I can say it, will she freak out? And how will she react? We didn't know. And again, I'm just going to really encourage any of you all watching this, listening back, watch the video, because God just took over. Our plan was to actually, because she was like in a nursing home facility. So you had women on one side, men on the other, and there was a common area. So my Uncle Steve, being the magician and ventriloquist that he is, said, hey, let's do a show for the residents and kind of make, relax the mood. So we did that. And then we were going to go back to her room and do a private interaction. And the Holy Spirit just took over, and the video shows it, captures it all, but God's plan. But again, being honest, I didn't know what was going to happen. But here's I'll say this, Celeste. It didn't matter what happened to me. That's why I say I think God's timing was perfect, because I had to go through 27 years of life. I had to go through brokenness. I had to go, and that's really where my heart. I just needed to look my mom that chose life for me. I had to look her in the eyes, and I had to say, I love you, and I thank you for choosing life for me, because I wouldn't have the life that I have today if it wasn't for your choice. So I was at peace with no matter what happened after that.
Now, did she know you were coming in that video? Or no? So, and that video, that 4-minute video, brought tears to the whole room last Tuesday night. And Lisa, what was your take on that video?
It was incredibly powerful, and it really brought home about choice. To see the two of you and to see your mother just respond, the beauty of that. I can see how your ministry was really born out of that moment, and that it happened with a camera right there so that you can carry that forward visually.
Yeah, it truly is a treasure. I think one thing that's powerful for me is, God has given me a platform to share my story, but it's not just my story.
Right.
I have a legacy to carry on, and honestly, her death, I'll just be honest with you guys. She passed away. She choked on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. After all the stuff, I say my crap has become my fertilizer. Stay with me. Right? Just all the stuff that she's been through, that's what took her out. And, I was frustrated for a while. I was kind of frustrated with the Lord. Like, why did she have to die alone? And I think actually that evening I shared a song that I had written called "You're Not Alone," that I released a year prior to her death. But God has used that song to bring peace to me, but such a powerful thing happened after her death, because of the platform God has given me to share our story. There's been over about 100,000 people now that's heard our story. So I had all these messages of people, text messages and Facebook messages, emails. And what they were saying was this: your mom, your hero, has changed my life. She's not only your hero, but she's my hero. And you can't tell me that God's not a powerful, powerful God. She never even realized, like, I guarantee you, most of her life, she thought that she didn't matter to anybody. And most of society would look at maybe her and say, you know what? She's just a waste of space. Let's just be honest, right? I hope that people don't think that, but we know, the mental health world, the nursing homes, and sometimes they're the forgotten people. And, but to see how God he's that powerful, he's that in control that he can take this woman's life, through one choice, one decision made, changed everything. And I look at her life, and again, Lisa, you said, really, it's not just that moment, but that was definitely a pivotal moment. I just look at this brokenness that we carry. It's not the end of the story. It's the beauty within the story, that if we can see brokenness, it's not dead. Sometimes we treat brokenness like death, but brokenness can be used for something really beautiful and powerful if we allow God to work in it, you know?
Absolutely. And, in that video, and I encourage our listeners to go to that website and look and watch that 4-minute video, because she was singing, what was the Christian song she was singing?
Well, I started singing Amazing Grace.
Grace, that's right. It was Amazing Grace.
But when I got to Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved, when I hit that word saved, in that moment, I was like, wait a minute, she saved me. And I just started weeping, but then she picked it right up without skipping a beat and sang every word, finished the verse. And it's just powerful. Have tissues is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, when you were singing that, did she had already met you and you were singing that together, or was that, I'm trying to remember.
So I had spent 2 hours with her prior to that. So I mean, we had met each other, but she did not know who I was.
Who you were. That's right.
So again, the plan was to go back, to the privacy of her room and, not in front of everybody, because we didn't know how she would react. But I felt led to sing Amazing Grace, and I just went with the Holy Spirit, what he told me to do. And I just went up there and started singing. And then that's when my Uncle Steve kind of said, well, we weren't going to do it like this.
Exactly.
The Lord just decided to take over. So we did the whole introduction right there. And then that's the beauty of capturing it on film. That wasn't necessarily planned, It
was a very heartfelt moment. Most definitely, Steventhen. I know that just the look on her face, the tears, you could just feel the emotion. Right. And what she was feeling. You may say that she had a mind of 11-year-old right there, but in her heart, she knew that love right there.
I think that, I think a mother is a mother, no matter what. And I think that came out like when you watch the video, if you all watch it, there's a moment where you can see in her eyes, like before my Uncle Steve, her brother, says the words, she already realized that, wait a minute, this is him. 27 years went by, and she carried a picture of a baby that she thought was her baby for like some 17 to 18 years. She carried this picture, holding it, and it wasn't even me, so it's, it was just so amazing how he's a God of restoration.
Yes, he is, most definitely. And we appreciate that so much. Good afternoon, Sara. We're so glad to have you with us here today. We had a few technical difficulties, but glad you're with us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Hey, I've heard great things about you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
So my next question for you is so you are the founder of the 501c3 nonprofit called Broken Not Dead Ministries. When did you launch Broken Not Dead Ministries, and what led you to create this amazing organization?
Well, again, I think I said this earlier, but I think it was March of 2018 was officially our launch date. And really for me, it's funny. I think it's the best way to answer how did it start or what led it was a lifetime of living this out. That I'm broken. I mean, I myself am broken, but I'm not dead. Right. And Lisa, you said, going back to even how I came into the world, it was from a gang rape of a mentally challenged woman, brokenness. I mean, it doesn't get a lot more broken than that, but I'm still here. But for me, I think the best way to explain is, Steventhen Holland as a speaker, worship leader, author, that's a personal ministry. But then Broken Not Dead is an us ministry.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it for me, is it's creating that platform for other people that have broken, not dead stories, just like I do, to give them a platform, and to also to educate people that brokenness is not the end, to empower them, that, okay, wow, somebody's told me that, it's okay. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be broken. And then to encourage them to like, okay, let's go live that purpose, that life. And I just think that the world needs that so desperately right now. I don't think it's a mistake that God, birthed that in me. But the name came from, I was actually asked to speak at a women's conference to share my testimony. And I wanted to use that, that beautifully broken theme that we've all heard so much, but and I love that, but it's already used so much. And God kind of gave me the words, the phrasing out of that, searching for a title. But again, I think it was birthed from the beginning of my life. Just
Well,
one journey.
absolutely. And, one thing I would like to back up just a second before we move on is last week when we heard you talk, I know you just mentioned to our audience that, your mother, who had this mental challenge and everything, that she was gang raped, but you didn't tell the story how that happened. And I think that's important because of how that happened, how she went to work and she walked.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
she was a victim.
She was. Yeah, so she was 18 again. She was mentally challenged. So she had no family, no home. But in this mental facility, she had enough capacity to work a little job. They tried to give them, some outlets to live. So they had her set up with a work program that she could, and I don't know what that was. I don't have those details, but I knew that she could walk back and forth between the facility and the job. And one evening on her way home, she was actually attacked by those 5 men and they raped her. And so, mentally, again, she's only an 11-year-old mentally. So you can imagine the guilt, the shame, the hurt, the pain. Like, she didn't tell anybody, she was fearful, I can imagine. And so they didn't find out what had happened until she started showing, pregnant. So probably 3 months, maybe something like that, 2.5, 3 months. And then they had to backtrack and pull the answer out of her. Well, when they found out, so again, this is a state-run mental facility in Rome, Georgia, not too far from where you all are. They were pressuring her to abort. Because when you're pregnant, there's only 3 options: you can parent, you can adopt, or you can abort. And they're looking at the situation, mentally challenged, no money, no family, no home. There's no way you can provide for a child. And, the best option would be to abort in their mind. But this is the powerful thing, right? I mean, this woman, 18 years old, only an 11-year-old mental capacity, said, my baby's worth fighting for. So I don't know how she did it, but she wound up fleeing the facility, running away, and carrying me homeless for the duration of the pregnancy until 9 months old. She finds herself in a cardboard box behind an old grocery store in a little town called Whitwell, Tennessee, right outside of Chattanooga. If you're from there, that's how they say it. Don't ask me how you spell it. But a 16-year-old boy found her behind this store in a box and took her home to his family. And, and I have to laugh about this because a 16-year-old boy shows up with an 18-year-old 9-month pregnant woman and says, "Hey, Mom, Dad, can we keep this?"
Keep her.
Like, what did you do, son? But he's like, I found it behind the box, behind the store. I mean, but it's just so crazy, the goodness of God. But I don't know if this family were believers or not. They just had, I think God intervened, gave them a heart for her and me as her child. And they cared for us for about 2 weeks until they got us to the hospital, and she gives birth to this little boy, and who she named Steventhen William. And actually the state or human services actually tried to remove me there, take me away from her in the hospital. But this family, which, was it the best choice or not? I don't know. But again, God's in control. They snuck me out of the hospital in 1982. Okay. They cared for us for about a week, but, they were a working family, didn't have a lot of money. So I got left alone with her a lot. And I was on the same bottle of formula I left the hospital with 7 days later, when this 16-year-old waited for his parents to leave for work, actually, and jumped in a car and drove she and I to human services. Wow. And at 7 days old, very malnutrition, literally on death's doorstep, I was placed into the foster family at 7 days old, who became my adopted family at 2 years old. So I've been, did I miss anything?
No.
That's a wonderful, wonderful story.
Yeah.
And glad that you made it,
Yeah, me too.
you know. But yeah, I just want you to say the broken, not dead. All right. I've heard Celeste has told me that before, but when you said it, when it came out of your mouth, it touched my heart.
Mm.
I'm gonna, you know how you put stickies on your computer so you can see them every day? I'm putting that there because today was just a day, right? And I just kept trying to breathe to get through it. But if I could see those words, when I'm having a moment, I can just take a deep breath and go, broken, not dead. Because that's huge.
It is. I truly believe that, Sarah. And that's why I've almost quit 20 times. You all know, running nonprofits, my biggest challenge obviously is donor support, but it's just getting people to see what I see, to see the lives that have been impacted like I've seen. That's what keeps me going, Sarah. Which it's funny, I never take these off. And here I am on a Zoom. I usually have 2 bracelets on my wrist. That's why I was going to show them. And I was like, I took those off and didn't put them back on, but I never leave home without them. But they're broke. It says broken, not dead. I have a black and white theme is what I use. It's just simple. But I had a gentleman tell me the other day, he was like, man, I bought 6 of those from you at an event that you were at. And I've led 6 people to the Lord just from those bracelets. I didn't realize how powerful this was. He's like, can I buy 25? And I'm like, absolutely. But so we have a store, we have a shop on brokennotdead.com that has like 72 items on there. We have coffee mugs and women and men's apparel. And just because, Sarah, like you said, it's such a powerful statement and it's not even grammatically correct, right? But there's just something about it that I feel like God birthed in me to share with the world, because I think it's just a message that we need to be reminded of every single day. I'm broken, but I'm not dead. Not yet. So until my heart stops beating and there's no more breath in my lungs, I have purpose, broken or not. So
yeah, it's very powerful. That's just, I think sometimes you just need to stop, breathe, and read that, and then take a minute, thank God that you're still here, and keep on going.
Right. Keep moving forward.
So what kind of impact has Broken Not Dead had so far? I think you've told us a little bit of that, and I missed your speech last week, so I'm learning all about you.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't want to get into too many statistics, but so on our website, I actually keep pretty good records and post on there. But we've done about 347 events so far. That's close to about 90,000 people we've reached, over 24 states. I partner, honestly, we go into any place that God opens a door for. So it's been 202 churches, 42 nonprofits we partnered with together to bring this message of hope, about 40 school events, student events. I've kind of put those together. 43 actually pro-life organizations, because again, I speak nationally for pro-life. We've done about 20 camps and retreats. And as funny as it, I say ironically as it is, through my platform, which I'm Broken Not Dead. I launched Broken Not Dead as a ministry, but it's also my personal testimony, my story. I've actually been blessed to be able to help raise over $2 million for other nonprofit organizations. A lot of those have been pregnancy centers. But that just warms my heart that God's, blessed me to be able to do that. And I know one day, I'll be able to, we do have support. I'm not saying we don't have support, but you know how it is just running that nonprofit. It's that daily grind of just getting people to believe and come alongside and support. So, but yeah, so impact wise, it's been amazing. And then of course, those are just statistics. It's the life change, it's the heart change. And it's hard sometimes with like what we do, because it's not hand to mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like we're planting seeds and we don't know what God's going to do with that, but I by the grace of God, I've had one that I think can I share real quick?
Absolutely.
I think one powerful one for me that just, I don't know, just shows the power of this ministry is I had the opportunity. So I lead, lead worship. I speak, I do these things. I was leading worship at a camp in Panama City, Florida. I had no idea who was in the room. It was a student camp. There was a Hispanic girl. She was 12 years old, and she had actually been raped by her uncle, and she was pregnant. It wasn't supposed to happen, but they actually gave me a little time to share my testimony that night. And I shared. So, again, didn't know she was in the room. This church happened to be from the area where I worked for a pregnancy center back in, I think it was like 2016 when this happened. Normally I'm out speaking in the schools because I was actually an abstinence director. Like I spoke in the schools, making healthy choices and things. I was home, or I was at the office that summer when she came in. So this was 2 weeks after I had shared my testimony and her in the room. She came in with her family, and her family was pressuring her to abort. But she saw me there and remembered my testimony, and she went against her parents and said, I'm choosing life for my baby. So then so she gave birth to a little boy. She was actually removed from the home because the uncle was still present in the family. So she got adopted by another church family. And then in another church, a family adopted the baby. Okay, you with me? Mm-hmm. So I go to lead worship at this church that the baby was in that I didn't know was there. And when I got done with the service, they come up and place this baby in my arms, and they told me who it was. You talk about a grown man weeping.
Right.
But then I'm doing another event at another church, and I get done leading worship and sharing, and this little Hispanic girl, which I didn't recognize initially, she's weeping, just bawling. And she comes up to me and she looks at me and she says, how do I know that my baby knows that I love him? And I said, what are you talking about? And she had to remind me who she was. And I was able to look at her, because you can't reach a broke if you ain't been broke.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not grammatically correct, but it's real. I look at her and I said, sweetheart, you're one of the strongest women on the face of the planet. And I know it's been super hard, but the choice that you made is worth it. And I said, the fact that you gave life to your baby is the greatest love that any mom could ever do for their child. And then the fact that you gave that child up for adoption to be placed in a loving home that you knew that you couldn't provide because you're only 13 years old, that's love. And I said, I hope one day, because we serve a big God, I hope one day that that he's able to look you in the eyes like I was able to do with my mom, and he tell you himself that I love you, Mom, and thank you for that choice. But if you never get that opportunity, just know that you have shown him the greatest love any mom could ever, and that's just to give life. You can't ask for much more than that.
Absolutely. After you spoke last Tuesday night, Stephen, then, my husband, right, first thing out of his mouth, he said, this guy needs to have a video of this testimonial, and it should be shown at every abortion clinic to every person that goes in there that's thinking about this. I mean, it was your testimonial is so powerful to so many people, and we're just so grateful, of that your mother chose life and chose you.
Me too.
Absolutely. So what things are you working on now, and any new exciting projects that we need to know about?
Oh yeah, I think the most exciting thing right now, again, I think I mentioned this earlier, but during the pandemic, we're all trying to figure out how do we still, get our message out, what God's called us to do with our ministry. And I'd already been thinking about this before COVID, but it just became really a passion. Like, okay, we got to give people a platform. We can't do the events like we were. We got to think differently outside the box. So we actually started it's a YouTube, Broken Not Dead Ministries YouTube platform. We film these broken, not dead stories is what we're calling them. And again, I shared I have a pro-life stint, foster care adoption. That's probably my biggest platform for my broken, not dead story. But I've come across people that have battled addiction. They've survived cancer. a high school student that wanted to commit suicide, and depression, and, pastors dealing with things. So we've created a platform for these stories, people I've met in my life. And then as the platform continues to grow, we've released 2 stories. So we filmed 10 stories, and we're releasing 2 every month. So those are going to be released through August. And then our hope is as people are impacted and they see the vision and the impact of this, I'm going to break down, what the cost is to film 1 story, production, all of that, and then give people hopefully a platform to be able to sew into this. And we can continue do another season of 10 more people, then another season of 10 more people. And it's only 2 stories have been shared. The first story was a worship pastor that went through a divorce, and God took him through a season of pruning. He fell in love with gardening and talked about how tomato plants have suckers on them, and sometimes God has to remove the suckers. It was such a powerful, but he had to go through that brokenness for God to reveal that. And then his name's Daniel Smith. And then we just released one yesterday with Angel Malone, who battled multiple melanoma, if I said that right, melanoma. So at 36 years old, which is a very rare, mostly it's found in, she's an African-American woman, mostly found in white men, older men. Mm-hmm. And she had to do stem cell, and she is in complete remission, has beat that cancer right now. And it's just, I'll sit back and in tears with the people that are reacting and being impacted by these stories. And we're only into 2 episodes, So I think that's the most exciting thing, I think, right now that we've got going on, and for people to sew into. And then hopefully we can start doing Broken Not Dead events again, which will be real quick. I'll share about that, but it's partnering with local communities and getting sponsorship to be able to bring in speakers and music. So to do like a 1-day, 4-hour event where we just get to love on the community, trying to get it sponsored so it's free, so people can just come and be loved on, and just using Broken Not Dead's connections to bring some entertainment, for lack of a better word, with speaking and music. And it's a lot of different genres of music that can speak to different people that may be there at the event. Right. So we, constantly looking for organizations and communities that want to partner with us to bring something like that to their community, to love on their broken people.
Absolutely. So like last week when we were at the fundraiser for Camp Amplify, now they're doing a camp for some kids in July. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to let our audience sort of know some of the things that you do as well. So when they do that camp, I think it's July 2nd through the 6th that they're doing for Camp Amplify. You are the worship leader and the music leader at these camps for these children. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I've got Camp Amplify and a couple more camps, like summer camps that I'm leading worship for. And then, so a lot of times, like even this weekend, outside the national speaking pro-life things, I've got 15 of those this year. That's what I do on a national platform right now, as far as a lot of traveling and flying and those things, raising money for those organizations. But I do a lot of church ministry. I lead worship a lot on Sundays, Wednesdays. And I usually, if I'm at a church for the first time, I usually share my testimony, and then a lot of times pastors and, leadership will have me come back and, I have a few messages, more preaching that I do around my story and themes from my story. But I do a lot of worship leading for camps and retreats for all ages.
Absolutely. And for our listeners listening today, I believe Ms. Penny Rogers has put this information out there, but Stephen, then please tell our audience again how they can get a hold of you, because we, with the pandemic, everything was sort of shut down. Things are sort of opening back up a little bit now. And so there are some camps going on. There are some galas and fundraisings going on where people may, could need a speaker, or they need somebody to come give a testimonial or share their story like you. So tell them again how people can get a hold of you, please.
Well, I think the easiest way, like one-stop shop, would be Steventhen.com. So my first name.com, Steventhen.com. And if you Google Steventhen, I'm the only one in the world, so it's easy to find. on the personal side. And then again, for Broken Not Dead, any partnerships or want to learn more, that's brokennotdead.com. And then of course I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram are the two that I'm on. I'm also on LinkedIn, but Facebook and Instagram are the main social media platforms.
Absolutely. Now, Lisa, you just came off of a huge fundraiser gala this past Saturday night for Disability Links. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Disability Link is a non-residential center for independent living. They're all over the country. That was started out of Berkeley. And what's kind of really cool is on the Oscars, there's a movie called Crip Camp. This was nominated for Best Documentary Feature. And although they didn't win, it showcases the disability community that came together back in the early times. I guess it was probably late 60s, early 70s, where they had a summer camp. And it was kind of the first summer camp where people with disabilities could actually go and spend time together. And out of that came a movement for these centers of independent living. So I love, we're seeing a lot of change in the disability community. It used to be that we were kind of stuck with institutions, but now there's a lot of work towards transitioning into more independent opportunities for people.
Absolutely. Based on our gala fundraiser last Tuesday, we attended, Lisa, and being one of our guest show hosts tonight with us as well, Sara. Any questions that you have for Steventhen Holland that you would like to ask him or get him to share?
So, Steventhen, how can we support you either on that national platform or your personal ministry? What can we do, and who can we leverage to kind of continue your work with you?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me, what God's showing me, I can get in the weeds because I don't have any staff. We don't have the funding right now. So I hustle, I get after it. I do my own books. I do my own booking, financial stuff. I have accountability. Don't get me wrong. I have a board, and we're looking to build our board. So, there's potential board member, placement there, but really networking. I mean, God is just showing me that, I can focus on resources, which, finances and things like that, or I can focus on building relationships. And that's what I'm trying to do. For me as Steventhen, obviously, it's word of mouth is still, I think, the most powerful tool that we have for networking and references. So obviously, if you believe in me and my story and like Celeste said, her husband was like, he needs a video. I've had, a couple organizations reach out and ask about doing a movie, which I think one day that could happen, but it's got to be the right fit. So anyway, I don't want to get into it, but I'm just saying, so again, relationships, networking, just sharing, if you believe in what we're doing, especially on the nonprofit side of things. Again, people ask me all the time, why didn't you call this Steventhen Holland Ministries? Because that's not my heart. It's an us ministry. It's Broken Not Dead Ministries, and that's to include people. So if you want to share your story on our platform, you can reach out. We'll give you that platform to share. And just to take that message again, we want to come into communities and love on people. And it's not just me that has the ability to do that, but it's us, So again, I think just the networking part of it, please just share, just tell people and connect. I put my websites on here, things like that. But at the end of the day, the lifeblood of any nonprofit is monthly support. So, you give me a platform and I believe in what I do. I believe in what God's called me to do. And so financially, it's just those monthly supporters, people that want to come alongside and support us is a desperate need right now. Just so we can keep going with what God's called us to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Sara, do you have any questions for Steventhen Holland? Any closing comments or questions?
No, I'm going to go buy. I'm going to the store. I mean, all day I've been 5 minutes behind, or this would happen or that would happen. And I try to tell like I could tell my grandchildren when they're driving, just breathe. It's okay.
Right.
I'd rather you be alive and be late. Right.
Right. Absolutely.
And I just kept going and I kept going. And when you spoke that, broken but not dead, it's like a calm came over me. And I just, that was just amazing. So,
well,
point of your star.
That's truly an affirmation, Sarah, to me. This ministry needs to exist. You know, I've had some people kind of challenge me on, like, you need to change the name of the nonprofit because you're the power behind, you know, it's like, it's your story, but God's given me a platform, you know, and he's blessing me with that platform, but God's called me to this. And I kind of came to a moment where, Lord, if I'm the only one that goes forward, if I'm the only one that sees this, you're going to sustain that and you're going to be faithful. And I need to be obedient to what you called me to do. So that's what I'm going to do, you know, and I'm praying for the day where, you know, we got a national platform that just people are just blessed. So thank you for speaking that, Sarah. To me, I need to hear that. You know, I need to be encouraged because, you know, I see it, but we get caught sometimes, you know, just in the grind, if that makes sense, you know.
Absolutely.
But I did put the link for the shop on the comment section. So if anybody,
great.
Because that's a great way to support. That's a great way to support. You know, you get something in return, but you know, some of the proceeds of that outside of just the charges, you know, that's 100% goes to us. It's kind of like a fundraiser, really. It's all drop shipping.
Absolutely.
It's all drop shipping, so it'll come directly to your home. So.
Right. And if anybody would like to donate, Steventhen, what would be the link for the donation? Yeah,
I'll actually post that now as well. But it's actually brokennotdead.com/donate.
Okay.
So you can give online. There's a couple different options there. And then also there's a PO box at the bottom of that page where you can send a check, or you can also do bill pay. You can set it up as a monthly bill pay if you'd like to do that.
Okay.
And all that can be found on the donate link.
Absolutely.
So Celeste, you got any questions?
Well, Steventhen, we are coming to do what now?
I was going to say, do you have any other questions you'd like to
Do
ask?
what now?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Well, I've been asking quite a few here tonight, and again, Steventhen, really, it's Sarah and myself and Lisa, and on behalf of WCEG Talk Radio, it really is an honor and privilege to have you on the show here tonight to share with our listeners your powerful testimonial and story. And it goes without being said that our heart loves your heart, and we love your mother's heart, that she chose life for you. And the message that you send. And we are just grateful to have you here. Anything we can do to help support you, for reaching out, go to Steventhen's website, Broken Not Dead, a couple of places that he's listed. Watch that 4-minute video. And, you know, it's so important to serve and to serve other people first. And as you said, Stephen, they say it's you, it's it's all about serving other people. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else. It's about how I can help and serve and support other people. And that's what you're doing. And that's why you're here today, because you have a heart of service and we love you. So thank you so much.
Well, I love you all too. And thank you so much. It's such an honor to know you all. And it's been an honor to share on the platform. And by the way, you mentioned the video just again. I think that's going to be honestly a bigger blessing than any words that I could ever speak on here. I link that on the chat. So if anybody is interested, you should be able to easily find it.
Absolutely. And so we appreciate that. And also this is being on Facebook Live and YouTube. So please feel free to go to the Facebook page and put all that information in there as a comment, Steventhen. That would be great. Lisa Parks, thank you so much on behalf of the Women of Community Impact for you and your husband attending this gala last Tuesday and being a part of that, being a part of this interview tonight. And of course, always, Sarah, it's always a privilege and honor to have you as my co-host. And I love you and love each and every one of you. But most importantly, Penny Rogers, we love you and we love the WCEG Talk Radio. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to share this message. You guys have a wonderful evening, have a blessed evening, and have a great day.
Yes. Blessings. Thank you.
Blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye.